Greetings everyone, welcome back to Life of Clay for another sculpting video. Kenji here, your sculptor, and this time I will be making a raccoon, Procyon lotor. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell icon so you will be updated whenever a new video is up. And without further ado, come bring the clay on and let's cuddle our cute raccoon. I first draw a quick sketch of our raccoon, and I choose to pose her standing on her hind legs and will make her like she's begging for food or something to add that cuteness factor. Then let's start building its armature by forming a handful of aluminum foil into densely bean shape. Poke some holes on it and insert all the wires for the head, legs, and tail, and you can check out all the materials I use in the description box down below. Then I apply 2 parts epoxy to fix all the wires in place. Then I also apply epoxy on the tail and head wire and bulk them up with some aluminum foil. Then I wrap around cotton twine on the tail up to the leg wires and bend them to position. Then I apply UV resin on them and cure with UV light. Then trim off the excess wire. And after that, I added more pieces of aluminum foil on the upper half of its arms and on its thighs to bulk them up. And we can now start sculpting its body by covering it with tore pieces of clay, blend them in, and shape it out. Alright, while I'm working on it, let's learn something about raccoons. Raccoon is a mammal native to North America. The word raccoon is an adaptation of Powhatan term arahkunem, meaning he scratches with his hands, as used in the Virginia colony. It was also recorded on Captain John Smith's list of Powhatan words as arahkun and on that of William Strachey as arathkone. Whilst raccoon's scientific name, Procyon lotor, is a Neo-Latin and translates to before dog washer. It is the largest of the procyonid family, having a body length of 40 to 70 cm and a body weight of 5 to 26 kg. It has a grayish coat that is mostly consists of dense underfur, which insulates it against cold weather. 3 of the raccoon's most distinctive features are its extremely dexterous front paws, its facial mask, and its ringed tail. And may I ask your parental guidance on this part, for I will be making her genitalia and her anus. You know guys, I love details, I just couldn't skip this out, please pardon me for this. Then I start adding some fur texture around the areas. Then I make the surface of her body uneven and start adding fur texture on it using my personalized fur texturing tool that I will be going to make a tutorial also on how to make one, so stay tuned for that. Alright, while we're doing this, let's go back talking about the raccoon. Raccoons are noted for their intelligence, as a study shows that it is able to remember the solution to tasks for at least 3 years. They are usually nocturnal and omnivores, eating almost anything that is edible. Their original habitat is deciduous and mixed forest, but due to their adaptability, they have extended their range to mountainous areas, coastal marshes, and even rich urban areas, where some homeowners consider them to be pests. As a result of the escapes and deliberately introduction in the mid-20th century, raccoons are now also distributed to across much of mainland Europe, the Caucasus, and Japan. That in the year 2016, Europe included raccoon in the list of invasive alien species of union concern. Here I add her loose skin flaps on the side of her belly and blend them in. And we can now do the first baking. Let us now proceed in sculpting its head. I first apply liquid polymer clay around the neck, then cover the head with the rough sheet of clay. Then start shaping it out, adding more pieces of clay along the way until the shape of its head is attained. Then using the rounded end of this poking tool to create its eye sockets, pinch its nose to make it pointy, then shape it out. Then I poke holes for the eyes and embed these pre-baked polymer balls. Then shaping out its mouth and add more pieces of clay on her snout, eyelids, and brow bone, and start fur texturing it. Raccoon's life expectancy in the wild is only 1.8 to 3.1 years, which hunting and vehicular injury in many areas are the most common cause of their death. But in captivity, raccoons have been known to live over 20 years. They mate in the late winter and early spring, and gestation period is approximately 63 days. Females give birth to the annual litter of 1 to 8 in the den, with spars of shredded wood bedding, and their young ones are called kits. And we can now add her ears and blend them in. I also add poke holes on her brows and snout for the hairs and whiskers to be added later. And I just want to reposition her head a little bit more, so I made incision on her scruff and insert the tip of these long nose pliers to hold the armature inside and bend it. Patching and closing the holes, then fix the texture. And after that, we can now do the second baking. Now let's proceed in sculpting its paws by cutting isosceles trapezoid shape out of this thick strip of clay, then split the wider end halfway through using a cutter. Then roll out a very thin and slender noodle of clay for her toes. Cut them into small pieces and arrange them on the opening of the split piece of clay. Apply a little amount of liquid polymer clay and sandwich the toes. Blend the clay in to close the seam using couple of tools. And once done, attach it to the tip of the leg wire. And same procedure goes to the other paws. And now that all the paws are attached, let's cure them with heat gun. And after that, I cut tiny conical shapes of clay for her claws, applying liquid polymer clay to make them adhere well. And then after that, cure them with a quick blow of heat gun. And after that, sculpting the remaining lower part of her legs, adding pieces of clay, blend them in, and add fur texture. Now the legs are done, and let's cure them again with heat gun and proceed in sculpting its tail. For the tail, roll out a thick log of clay and then make a halfway through incision on it. Apply liquid polymer clay on the connection and rub the clay to the tail wire and close the seam. Shape it out and add fur texture on it. And now that the sculpting is completely done, we can now do the final baking. And we can now paint it. I first mixed titanium white and little amount of coffee bean paint in painting her underbelly and other parts of her face. Then, using diluted pure black paint for her back and other black areas including the bands on her tail, underside of her paws, and nose. And after that, I dry brush her back fur and other areas with gray, made of titanium white and black paint mix. Then I paint more pure black on her nose, mask, and bands of her tail, and some parts of the legs. The black-colored mask-like band of raccoons help them to reduce glare, which in turn enhances their night vision and increases their odds of finding food and steering clear of predators. I also paint some of its areas with a watered down mix of raw sienna and coffee brown. Then painting the underside of its paws, patches, and claws with a mix of burnt sienna and titanium white. Now that the painting is done, I apply clear resin on her eyes to make them lively. Now that really brings her cuteness to the peak. And we can now add her brow hairs and whiskers, and these are trimmed synthetic bristles of a paintbrush. I dip their one end in glue and insert them to those poke holes we made earlier. Now that all the hairs are planted, I cover her eyes with masking tape and seal her with ultramatte varnish. We can now remove those tapes and brush her nose with semi-gloss varnish. And I also made her these apples out of polymer clay, one with bite taken out of it and an intact one. I will upload a tutorial on how I made them in the future, so stay tuned for that, guys. And there she is, our adorable raccoon is finally done. Hope you did like this video and find my techniques useful for your projects as well. I would like to know your thoughts about this tutorial, guys, so please leave your comments down below. I also appreciate if you share this video to our friends out there. And if you really like my videos like this one, please allow me to remind you to subscribe and turn on that notification bell icon so you will be notified whenever a new video is up. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time and have a great day, everyone.